Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a police thriller from France, French language English subs, released in the year 2014, directed by Fabrice de Veltz, and this film is called Colt 45. So Colt 45 is about Vincent. He is this very young, innocent man who is working in the police force. He specialises in teaching policemen how to shoot guns. He builds custom bullets for the police force, and he also is a very good marksman himself. He has a 95% success rate in world competitions in shooting, and this is what gets him a lot of attention. So the attention is noticed by the head of the Special Forces Army in France, and he decides to come and pay Vincent a visit. He says, look, we want you to work for us. With your expertise you could be of great value. But Vincent says no, he's happy enough where he is. He doesn't want to have to shoot a gun and shoot someone. That's not what he's about. He just wants to do what he's doing. So the Special Forces, they go away, but then along comes Milo. Now Milo is a very mysterious man who's also a police officer, and he is a very good marksman himself. So the two of them form a quick bond together, and this bond turns into something sinister when Milo asks if Vincent can sell the custom bullets he's made to him, because his men have to use them. So he's very conceited about this. He's not telling him everything. So Vincent says, no, I can't. If it goes into the wrong hands, I'm in a lot of trouble. But Milo is very persistent. So in order to get Vincent to do what he wants, he decides to stage this event that will require Vincent to act in self-defense. Now, what Vincent has to do, which I'm not going to spoil, has put him into a lot of danger now, and Milo says, look, I can get you out of this mess if you do what I want. And basically what he wants is for him to sell the bullets. So Vincent has to do this, and this is what thrusts him to a very dark world that transforms him from being an innocent person to a corrupted person. So what happens in the film, something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Colt 45. I was really excited to see this film for a few reasons. Number one, Fabrice de Veltz was the director. Fabrice de Veltz is a fantastic horror director. He directed one of my favourite horror films of all time, Calvaire, also directed Vincent, and he's directed another movie, a very recent horror film called Alleluia, which I haven't seen yet, but I will get around to seeing it. I will be reviewing it. But those two horror films I just mentioned before, very atmospheric, and they're very realistic in what they're trying to do, and I thought there's a strong subtlety to Fabrice de Veltz that makes him such the director he is. So, coming into a completely different genre, I was really excited to see what he would bring to the table, and I actually think that if a horror director wants to go into another genre, police thrillers in France are definitely the genre to be, because they're very dark. Movies like A Gang Story, MR73, Department 36, all those movies are very dark. It showcases, a lot of ability to paint the police department in a very bad way. And a lot of these movies use the same ideas, but somehow they manage to bring something fresh each experience that you have. So it's basically about a web of lies, there's mistrust, there's a lot of characters trying to do the right thing but they can't because of the situation they're in. And Colt 45 has those similar sort of generic formulas that French police thrillers have, but Colt 45 feels different from the other three. And that's the beauty of French cinema, is that somehow they pump life into something that you would feel is very tired. And so Colt 45, it has those elements of, as I said, trust. You've got the issues within the police department, the internal fighting, people taking sides, and just the whole incompetence of the police force because no one can get along. But then you've also got Fabrice de Veltz's trademark horror feeling to it. It's not a horror film, but it's a very dark movie. It's a movie about this guy who's been corrupted. It's about innocence within a very corrupted community and how that innocence can be torn away and you can be a different person. I thought Fabrice de Veltz did that very well, is that you've got a really likeable guy and you root for him. You want to see him get through because he's trying to do the right thing at the start. He's a very innocent person. He doesn't want to hurt people. But when he's put into this really bad situation because of the villain Milo, you really there's a lot of interest because you care what happens to this guy. So Milo was a great villain as well. He wasn't in the film as long as I would have liked him to, but having said that, he was memorable in every scene that he was in. Very mysterious guy, but I really liked his character. And the continuity is fantastic. It's a very action-packed film. The violence is very, very hard-hitting, which is what you'd expect from a French police thriller. And it doesn't really take too much time to get into the good stuff. And another thing I liked about it was that there were no side stories. There were no side, sappy romance melodrama that kind of distracts these types of films from what they're trying to achieve. This movie wants to be an entertaining film, and it doesn't sidetrack you with unnecessary elements. So the movie I actually thought was going to go down a sidetrack sort of romantic angle, but thankfully Fabrice de Veltz takes that angle and he goes and uses it in a different area. So it goes down a different path that you're not expecting, and that was a welcome surprise because it actually felt like he was full aware that a lot of these movies do have sidetrack subplots, but that he was going to take that and then he was going to put it down, and it does definitely go down in a different direction. So Fabrice de Veltz is very well known for this. You don't know what to expect with this guy. He's a very weird director. He kind of reins in the weirdness for this film, but it does have that horror sort of atmosphere, that atmosphere of dread, the atmosphere of seediness. You don't know who to trust. And it all comes together very well. I thought the ending was a little bit of a cop-out, but that's not a major criticism because the majority of the film was fantastic, and it's another one to add to the very memorable police thrillers that are coming out of France lately. So the acting was great. Can't recall the guy who played Vincent, but as I said, he was a very likeable guy. And the beauty of it is that it doesn't get bogged down in character development, so it is a very quick movie, 82 minutes, so it can't get bogged down. And it's very entertaining, but at the same time you like the characters. So Fabrice de Veltz gives you just enough to care for these people and not to go too much into detail. So I thought Gerard Lanvin, who plays Chavez, one of the head of one of these units, he is a fantastic French actor, one of my favourite French actors. If you're familiar with French cinema, you know who Gerard Lanvin is. This guy is just very memorable in everything he does. He feels like he doesn't have to overact anything, just feels like it comes very naturally. So he's a seasoned veteran, and it was just a joy to see him once again in another very memorable film. So overall, for Colt 45, if you like police thrillers from France, this is definitely necessary viewing, and as a result I'm going to give it 4 stars. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.